Nope, looks like we're good to go. Alright, so, let's see. Thank you for joining us again today. This is Ben with the Tiger's Den. We are ready to jet. Today we're going to be playing some more Grixis Death's Shadow style decks in MTG Arena Standard. And we're going to keep learning the interface of Streamlabs and streaming in general. So, fun times. So, last time we were here, we were tuning the Legion's Shadow deck, and also we did some of this Rakdos Beats deck. Since then, I have added, I did quite a bit of tuning to Shadow in particular. As promised, I did did a donation deck with Todd Stevens last week. You can check it out on his YouTube. If you search for Grixis Aggro on his channel, it should come up there. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description too, but if I forget, just ping me in the comments and I'll get on that. So, so he played the deck. It went pretty well. He went 4-2, lost to the final boss in his league, but that was pretty good, especially given that he got two Field of the Dead ramp style decks in the first two that he fought. And those can be pretty tricky to pilot against. And also, the deck was not tuned well against that, especially in the sideboard, because, as we discussed before, I was seeing so much aggro and was not tuned at all to fight those decks. So now we're a little bit more tuned to an open field at this point. We're not quite as heavy on the beating aggro, and we have a little bit more in the way of our top end here. So, Riding Regisaur turned out to be very good in our experiments. I'm going to turn the sound up here a little bit. Maybe it's just that it's very quiet right now, not that the levels are too low. We had, some good removal here, but one of the issues ended up being that when our opponent resolved a high-value planeswalker or creature, we had a hard time dealing with them cleanly a lot of the time. And so that's what these Vraska's Contempts came in here for. Large creatures, especially things like Cavalier of Thorns, which just, is so difficult to deal with, outclasses everything in our deck except for Regisaur. Has the ramps when it comes in and then recurs the best cards. So with Vraska's Contempt, hopefully we have a little bit more of a way of dealing with that once it's resolved. We also put in a Noxious Grasp in the main deck because just almost every deck has a good target for this, and that's another way of dealing with the green Cavalier when it comes into play, because as long as you have that 2 mana open, you can kill it while its first trigger is on the stack, and then effectively they don't get the death trigger. We also went up to the 4-set of Nicol Bolas because it's been proving to be really good. I'm trying 2 Rekindling Phoenixes here because since this version is a little bit slower than previous versions, I thought, maybe rather than Spawn of Mayhem, which is a really good clock, but also clocks us, and that can really hurt us, especially in Game 1 versus aggressive decks, let's try the Rekindling Phoenixes. They're going to rotate pretty soon along with Bolas, so that said, we'll have to retool if we want to keep playing this deck post-rotation, but we'll see what goodies we get from that too. But Phoenix has been pretty good. The sad part of this is that it will get first strikes down by a Goblin Chain Whirler, but it is much like, Bolas is effectively the same in that they still need 2 removal spells to kill the Phoenix. They need the Chain Whirler to get rid of the first half, and then a spell to get rid of the egg. Whereas with Bolas, they can do effectively the same thing by, casting a shot at Bolas, first strike damage kills the Bolas and leaves the Chain Whirler behind. So this has been a fun retooling here. We also went down to 2 Chandra, even though I love her so much. Having 3 felt a little bit clunky, like we were often wanting to basically just cast a removal spell on turn 3 or 4, and often, the Chandra was low impact in that case. So a little more beatdown style here, a little bit more attrition going on with our 4-drops, and a little bit more robust removal here. I will say that I'm not super happy with having 8 4-drops here, even with our 25th land being in the deck, along with these 3 Rotting Regisaurs, because the Regisaurs, you want to be pumping out spells as fast as possible. But this has felt like a pretty good place to be for now, and we will continue tuning. For our sideboard here, we're going to do some best of 3 today, so we'll be doing sideboarding. We've got the Duress, which, just great. Oh, and actually I should say first, too, the shocks turned into 2 disfigures, 3 shocks down to 2 disfigures, and this was partially because it's a lot easier to play Chandra and then cast Disfigure, especially with our black-centric mana base. So we don't need 3 red, we just need 2 red and a black and 1 other thing, which is much, much easier for us to do. Also, we weren't often shocking our opponent to death because there's not a whole lot of burn in this deck, and we do have reach with our flyers, so the reach coming from the burn spells was a little bit less relevant. And then also, this actually just ends up being a really good combat trick a lot of the time. Like, if you're swinging in to a Cavalier of Thorns with, say, a 4/5 Knight of the Ebon Legion, with Shock, you would just trade your Knight and your Disfigure for their Cavalier, but with Disfigure lowering its power, your Knight will actually survive. And using this as a combat trick to kill their creature while making our own survive has been really, really relevant a lot of times, because we don't have any creatures that have really big backsides compared to their front sides. I think Knight of the Ebon Legion is actually the only one that has more toughness than power. Everything else is equal or opposite to that. So anyway, sideboard looks mostly the same for now, but we did pull one of the war bosses into the sideboard here and went up to a second Nicol Bolas Dragon God as a hedge versus control decks and things like that. So, without further ado, let's roll that up. We also have this Salvation Army deck, which is kind of like the Legion's Shadow deck, but it has a less greedy mana base, so it is like the, let's see, traditional Salvation Army. So it's more like the economical, thrifty version of the Legion, so Salvation Army. And I played that one a little bit today. I don't feel like it's as powerful of a deck. It has to cut out the Chandras, it has to cut out the Rekindling Phoenixes, because I cut out anything that costs double of a color that's not black. But that also means that we're able to do things like cast Nicol Bolas Dragon God out of the sideboard more consistently and take less damage off of our mana base. So, and just, more consistently be able to play out all of our cards, so that's been great. Not as good, I think, but still good reason to keep it around. I love this opening hand. I've got a threat, I've got discard, I've got removal, and I have great colors here. No turn 1 play, but we only have Knight, which isn't always a great 1-drop, and Disfigure, which not all decks have relevant targets for. I feel like the Disfigure is pretty good in this deck because, oops, not that one. I feel like I like having the figures or the shocks or whatever. What do we have going on here? I guess, well, I don't care about this guy. I don't want this guy to sacrifice our dude, so I guess, well, I don't want this guy to kill our dude either. Playcrafter also sacrifices itself. I'll just get rid of the Chupacabra here, I think. Then we'll have to draw another threat. I have no idea what's going on with this deck. I mean, I guess it's a zombies and sacrifice stuff deck. Of course, right here we can easily just... I'd rather Legions end here and try to find another creature before we have to kill our only threat, being Rotting Regisaur. And this is a nice clean answer and doesn't actually hit anything else in their hand. It doesn't give them their 2/2. Oh, okay, so they missed their turn 3. Argyl's Bloodfast. Okay, what does this card even do again? Pay 2 life, draw a card. 5 or less life, transform it. Sacrifice a creature. Okay, and you gain life. We're in a really awkward spot here. I think I'm just going to... I'm going to play at this Watery Grave, pass the turn, see if they'll play their Death Baron, which I imagine they probably will. They might just activate this, I suppose. Yeah, this is going to be really awkward for us. Okay, good. There's the Death Baron. So I will kill that guy right now. Okay, good. So now we can play Regisaur. Plaguecrafter presumably sacrifices itself and Regisaur. And then we can play Nicol Bolas. I'm going to drop 1 land, and then if I didn't have another land in hand, I probably wouldn't have played that because I don't really need them right now, and I might want to have something to sack to Regisaur if they don't play this. But I imagine that's what they're doing here. So we're going to have to clock them now because this is going to be kind of nasty for us. Oh, they didn't actually Plaguecrafter us. Oh, this is awkward. Just having to have a land or a spell that I could play there. Oh, guess I'll send in Regisaur. I'm gonna say again, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Looks like they discarded a Temple of Malady. I've got some prompts for me up here. I'm gonna just move them around a bit. What was this card? Journey to Eternity. Man, I've never seen so many cards that I have no idea what they do before. So if it dies, turn into control, and then... I think I just go in with both of these. They'll get this guy back, but I think I need to get rid of them. I think I need to get rid of it and just try to clear the way. You know, take them off as many resources as possible, because they're going to sacrifice their Death Baron to the Plague Crafter, and they'll get the free value off of this. So I'm playing pretty fast here because I don't know. While I don't know what's going on, I also don't want to take a ton of time to read all of the things. So put this down because we're going to have to discard it if we don't. Alright, so let's take another look at this. So it ramps them, and it returns a card. Okay, they flip Bloodfast. They're going to have like some kind of combo off here. Well, I guess they're going to be able to play... Ooh, that was really good for them, getting that Doom Dissenter out. Alright, so... they don't have enough to do that. This guy's going to get chumped for days here, because they have their 3/3 now as well. Now this is where we would have loved to have Shock. Legion's War Boss, it's not Shock, but it does kind of do things. I'm looking here at if I have anything that I could reanimate with Bolas if we get one more land. But, probably the Ravenous Chupacabra. I think they're just going to be able to outgrind us with this flipped crazy thing that they have. We can't get the 1 damage in with Legion War Boss. So I'm just going to... These guys have Death Touch, don't they? Just going to put it down here in case they had some way of giving a guy lifelink or something like that. So they get 3 life. Tapping very specifically here. Alright, return to Chupacabra, shoot down Bolas. Fine with that. Okay, how much do these cost? Okay, this one costs 0 mana, this one costs 5. I can't Legions end any of these guys. Boy, that hurts. I don't want to kill either of these guys because they'll just be able to keep getting them back. So definitely not going in with War Boss, although I don't see any great ways back into this game for us, because they have basically infinite sack triggers and infinite Ravenous Chupacabra, and we don't have a way of exiling that outside of Vraska's Contempt, which there's 2 in the 44 here. Yeah, we'll see what we draw here. I don't think it's going to end well for us. We got him down to 1 there, so we were definitely applying good amounts of pressure to them, but just not quite fast enough to get through the, you know... Well, part of the problem there, I think, is that we only had the 1 threat for quite a while. And then our opponent played really smart by making us discard that Bolas, which was very rough. So if we don't draw something here, I'm going to give it to them. They'll have us on a 2-turn clock, and if we can keep them off of some information, that would be nice. Nope. That is the land that would flip Bolas, but that's not going to do it for us. I have been flipping Bolas pretty, not super often, but with reasonable consistency with this deck. Okay, so what do we like here? Well, I definitely like another Legion's End, because they have guys that we want to exile, although how many creatures do they even have that this hits? We didn't really see many. Just the Doom Dissenter. Maybe we just got onto 2. I could couple dresses to take their sneaky stuff out of their hand. We have nothing that exiles the graveyard here. I mean, I guess we have Unmoored Ego, but I submitted the wrong deck. This is the Salvation Army version of this deck. Oops. Well, I guess that's what happens when you're not paying a whole lot of attention. I saw the Spawn of Mayhem here and was questioning what I was doing. I think I like Thief of Sanity here, actually. So, Cast Down's good. Noxious Grasp, they have a lot of green. Wait, no, none of their creatures were green. So I'll get rid of that. I like these guys. I don't like the... Oh, I like the Bedeck Bedazzle, actually, because I can blow up their utility lands, if need be. Vraska's Contempt, good to exile. Disfigure, they do have some guys that you want to kill that way. I mean, I don't feel great about it, but I think I might just pull the Legion's Ends, because we only saw a couple of guys that even hits. Or like one guy, actually. And while it was good to hit it, I just don't feel like it's that high value. Well, maybe we'll keep those in. Dress, Disfigure. Man, I just have no idea what to do against this deck. Maybe pull... I like the War Boss for the ability to... Okay, we'll pull those out. They don't really have any particular upsides here as far as I can see. Did not notice that our opponent was named Peter Pawn, but I like that. Or Peter Pone. I guess Pawn sounds a little more like the actual name. Ooh, boy. Nice hand, but no blue for our Thought Erasure. But we do have Disfigure and 2 good threats, so hopefully we'll draw this blue before too long. I'll lead on this Swamp, I believe, on the off chance they have a target that I want to Disfigure this turn. Didn't see any 1-drops from them last time, if I remember rightly, but doesn't mean they don't have them. Okay. No blue, unfortunately. Kind of wish there were a good luck, have fun type emote in this, because I like saying hi at the beginning of a match, but if I say hello again, immediately after they... Immediately after we start our second game, that just feels kind of weird to me. Well, let's hope they don't have 1-mana spot removal here. Good, so we at least get our extra token out. Got Spawn of Mayhem for next turn. If we're really lucky, they'll play a thing we can Disfigure, then we can Disfigure that Spawn of Mayhem after swinging in with War Boss. Well, that's not what they did, but... I think that I like playing a second War Boss here, actually. That is a lot of pressure, and lets us keep up. Well, we can do it either way, I guess. Keep up a Disfigure here. But since I didn't see any sweepers game 1, but lots of spot removal, I like playing a creature that... Yep. I like playing a creature that lets us... I'll probably just get rid of this guy. Field a second body there. Because if we play the Spawn of Mayhem, we're still in the same place, but without this second creature. Ooh boy. Would have loved to play that Bolus. But as it is, hit him for 2, put out Spawn. Just because this is the less greedy version of the deck does not mean that it has 0 greed or 0 mana problems. Okay, well there goes Spawn of Mayhem. Come on, blue mana. Blue mana. I'll take it. Okay, 2-turn clock. Hopefully if they have removal, it's sorcery speed so that they can't 2-for-1 us here. Okay, Midnight Reaper. Get rid of that guy right now. I think I'm dropping the Thought Erasure here. Because I want to... I mean, I can't play either of these, and if I get the blue, there we go. I can play either of them, so... this is, we talked on this stream before about how it's pretty dicey to try to stabilize with permanents, so like dropping down a Midnight Reaper, try to block. I assume they did that because they didn't have any relevant removal. So I feel safe about doing this. Oh, they could have boarded in. I don't think they would have really boarded in board wipes because I don't think we really represented that much in the way of... what color do I want? Yeah, I'll just take the island. Yeah, we got him. I don't think they represented much in the way of... We didn't represent much in the way of aggro last time. We seemed more like a mid-range deck without the, you know, knights. They didn't see any knights. They didn't see a huge number of creatures from us. So I don't think I saw anything that makes me want to change what I had there. Although they played very slowly that time, so maybe we bring in... Oh, I had too many cards last time. So maybe bring in that Duress. Keep trying to overload their spot removal. Although Thief of Sanity seems like the weakest card for that. I like the cast downs a lot. I think I'll just pull the Thieves out. Could be wrong, but it seems like the strategy we're going to want to go for is a little bit less outvalue them, because we saw that loop they demonstrated of sack things, get them back, kill your guy, gain life every turn. Okay, so we can't have turn 1 Disfigure here, but we can get turn 2 Thought Erasure, or Disfigure, or Legion's End. That seems pretty good. Okay, there's Argyl's Bloodfast again. Let's see what else you got going on. Well, no lands, so that means that something like Chupacabra is going to take a while to come out. Plaguecrafter is going to be pretty weak here if I can get rid of Vicious Offering, because we have Legion Warboss. I feel like these Death Barons aren't super relevant. None of these things are Legion's Endable. Yeah, I think I might actually be taking the Vicious Offering here. And just try to stick the... Well, no. Now I'll take the Chupacabra. It's a ways off, but we're also having trouble hitting our lands here. We needed to find that one on top, which is really good. Okay, they just draw. I mean, drawing a card for 2 mana is pretty good when you're trying to draw out of a hole like this. Or for 2 life and 2 mana, and don't have much in the way of relevant stuff to do. So I think that here I'm going to... I think we drop the Regisar. This means they have to Plaguecrafter to kill it. If I play this, that means they're Vicious Offering it away. Well, they're going to kill whatever we play here, and they have removal for both of them. So I'm going to again play the one that gives us a creature that sticks around. And we saw last time how nice it is to have that creature there. Oh, they just played Midnight Reaper. Okay, well that's pretty good for us, because now we can... I think I might actually be-deck this guy, because I'm not going to play... Actually, probably am going to play another creature here. So... Disfigure... You... Swing for 5. I mean, they draw a card, but they're tapped out, so... Can't use it right now. Alright, then they'll drop this guy. They can Vicious Offering it away, but as they currently only have 3 mana, that's all that it seems like they can do. Okay, they don't even opt to do that. Getting rid of the Legion's End because they don't have any... We've seen nothing in their hand that we can actually Legion's End away, so... I think we just kill them here, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... Yeah. Yeah, we got lethal. So we will cast down this guy. They draw a card. Go to 10. Mentor. Alright, well, we played the wrong deck, but we won with it, so I will call that a victory. I mean, of course it's a victory, but, you know, it's just not the victory that we signed up for when we came here. Okay, so let's grab the right deck this time. And we saw how even with that deck, with the less greedy mana base, we still struggled to hit our cards on time with just, you know, we have only a Steam Vents and a Dragon Skull Summit. We miss our Knight into Thought Erasure curve. Opponent chooses to go first. I can't blame them for that. This, however, looks pretty nice. Can't get this Chandra out yet, but... What? You can't sign up with Bolas and play green. What are you doing, opponent? And this, as I was saying before, is one of the reasons that I like having Shock or Disfigure in my decks when possible, is because... Ooh, well, this looks juicy. Oh, yes! Is because it's just nice to catch up from the turn one opponent has Llanowar Elves or Firebrand or something on the play, and you need to... Yep. Yeah, I saw that one coming. And you need to just catch up. There's not really a whole lot in this deck that lets you catch up when you're behind on turn one otherwise, so having that as an edge... Oh, opponent just pieced out altogether. Well... they were really not fond of that play. Yeah, Legion's End is a mean card. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. I actually kind of wish that it were an instant that didn't hit, like, at least didn't hit cards in hand, or maybe hit... Like, 'cause it'd be nice to have another strong piece of instant removal for cheap creatures. But it just... Ooh, ugh, Dovin. Ugh. Very uncomfortable now. But it does feel like those games where... Like, that didn't feel good for me, that didn't seem to feel good for my opponent, you know... I don't feel like Legion's End is overpowered, but I feel like maybe I would have liked the card a little more if it were balanced differently. Oh, jeez, I just hit come into play tapped again. Well, it looks like we're probably only missing 1 damage off of that, so there's that at least. Yeah, we're not missing our curve, we're just missing turn 1 hitting them for 1, so if that ends up being really relevant, we'll feel terrible. Or maybe we will end up surviving because we didn't shock in there, who knows. Alright, so I have no relevant plays here. They could disfigure us and that would feel bad, but... Nope. I've been getting fewer and fewer people missing the Death Touch on Knight of the Ebon Legion, so I think people are learning the more people start to sleeve that one up. Maybe I'll actually move my event notifications and stuff to over here, where they're less likely to be covering up... Oh, well, by Knight of the Ebon Legion. Covering up cards that I'm mousing over. Alright, well, I think we, 1, want to stop drawing lands, but 2, I think we just YOLO out Nicol Bolas. This guy's probably dead, but with nothing but lands in our hand, I don't feel like, and not really knowing what our opponent's doing, I don't feel like sitting on our haunches with this is going to be the best plan. Second Bedazzle. Huh. Oh! Well, I was not expecting this to be a field deck after that turn 1, 2, 3. Second field comes out. Well, we have flipped Nicol Bolas mana in our hand already, so that's a nice thing. Haphazard... What is Haphazard Bombardment? Choose 4 non-enchantment permanents you don't control and put an imp counter on each of them. At the end of your... beginning of your end step of 2 or more permanents you don't control have imp counters on them. Destroy one of those permanents at... What? I can't even... So it random kills 2 out of 4 non-land permanents. I mean... Oh, well, this will be good against that, I think. I mean, I don't like the idea of eventually losing stuff to that, but I also don't like the idea of them getting out Golos and fixing their draws and stuff like that, so... Let's get another source of red here. We got plenty of blue and black. Man, 'tis the day for weird freaking cards. Oh right, they'd ramped once there. I think I just disfigured this guy. Oh, actually, no, I don't have any. I mean, I don't really know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little while before they start getting their lands online. Okay, good. Did not hit our bolus. That would be the worst thing to be hit. This is going to make it really hard for us to flip bolus, because either bolus is dying or... this seems fine, because we have mountain, or we have double red. So it's going to be hard to flip bolus, because either bolus is dying or another one of our lands is dying. But if bolus survives here, we should be able to close out the game. The disfiguring this guy had less to do with I don't want to take damage and more to do with I just don't want them to have a blocker in case we get like a Rotting Regisar and we want to spend our mana in other ways. Casualties of War, huh? So we get down to 3 lands, but we got 1 in hand, and we draw another one. Opponent bought themselves a turn with that. Boy, this is a mean deck. I mean, I dig it. I dig it, but it is mean. Okay. Alright, so, got game 1. I guess it's a field deck with lots of cards you've never heard of before. Oh, this is going to make it hard to sideboard, isn't it? Okay, what do I like here? What is... I don't really even know what I do here. Like, is Duress... Well, okay, I don't like this figures. From what I saw, at least. I like Legion's End, because that'll give us sweepers for their field tokens. Legion's Warboss seems like one of the worst threats we could have here, because it's going to get blocked. It's going to get walled really hard by their zombies and their rejuvenators and stuff like that, so... I think I start with pulling those out. This kills Arboreal Grazer and kills their Legion's Landings later, so or not Legion's Landings, but their Field of the Dead later, so I like that. Noxious Grasp kills their blockers, but seems kind of weak. Unmoored Ego is here largely for this match. Dragon God seems weak once they've got going, and it costs 5 mana, so I don't think it's great here. I didn't see any Planeswalkers there. I think I'll bring in a couple of Duresses, because things like Circuitous Route are so strong in this deck. So let's bring those in. Thief of Sanity. Do I like bringing the Thief of Sanity in? It gets walled pretty hard by Arboreal Grazer, and are we stealing? We're not really stealing much of relevance from them, so let's pull those guys back out and submit this. We're a little bit threat light now. We're down to 13 creatures because we pulled out the war bosses without putting in more threats, but it's just a pretty weak threat against this deck, so it might be wrong to do that, but we shall see. Don't want to keep them waiting for too long. Alright, I like turn 1 Duress. Turn 2 get rid of a blocker maybe. Turn 3 got a threat down. Probably going with the Chandra, actually, if they clog up the board at all, and then we can re-Duress them the next turn. Opponent mulligans, that's good for us. Turn 1 Field of the Dead. Huh. Alright, let's take a peek. Open wide. Definitely taking that Circuitous Route. It's going to come online a lot earlier than Casualties of War, and it is often said to be the best card in the deck, and I don't feel that I disagree with that. Put this one down. This means that we have our 1-drop is live this turn, and everything is live next turn, no matter what we do. Alright, I think I'm going to go with Chandra and make her elementals this turn. So I will just cast down here. We've got another removal spell if they drop a Grixis or something like that. I guess Grixis is another good reason to keep in the old Legion ends too. These decks usually play Grixis in my experience. I'd be surprised if they didn't. Alright, hopefully we keep her around for a turn and then we can duress them again this turn while also playing a Regisar. Or while also playing a Bedevil, I guess. If only Golos were also a Planeswalker, this would kill him in 3 different ways. So they're at 6 lands now, so that's not good. However, being able to rip this Casualties of War out is going to be really good for us. So we'll do this, making sure that we keep up a black. I feel like this is better than playing the Regisar, because I don't want to discard any of these cards yet. I would rather play Nicol Bolas next turn. Alright, so now we'll -2. Grab that Duress. Bedeck Bedazzle. Not going to do a whole lot against us right now. I wonder why they're on so many of these main deck. Like, I like the card, but that's the third or fourth that we've seen. I think they cast 2 and discarded 1 last time. It's like, yeah, that's like... I guess that if you can just ramp that hard, it is like nice to blow up the land and get some incidental value. Ooh, we binned their Circuitous route there. That would have put them on Field of the Dead. Well, they on it anyways, but they have fewer guys now for it. Alright, so our Regisar is going to be pretty weak here if they keep hitting lands. But I think we're playing it anyways. Because, I mean, if they have a land here, we can untap Vraska's Contempt while this is on this... Ooh, that was the best thing they could have drawn. So now they'll have 2 blockers after we get rid of one of them. So the question is, do we even cast this Vraska's Contempt, or do we just save the mana for whatever we might top deck? This is a pretty weak card right here, so we're just going to discard it, hope that we draw something better. That actually sort of is better, although I would have obviously rather cast the... Going with all of them, see if they want to... Nope, just jump with 1. Okay, so we are now 1 from being able to flip Bolas. We would have been able to flip him this turn if we hadn't gotten that land destroyed, but I don't even know if I would want to flip, because I feel like being able to fly over their guys is going to be really good for us. And yeah, we don't have any... Ooh, okay, well... That's going to be game. Oh wait, no, it takes them to 1. Ha! Okay, does 1 points of damage, you know, they will get you. But, and they actually gained 1 off of a gain land a turn or 2 ago. But yeah, it's going to be hard for them to come back here. Yep, we got it, we got it. Yeah, that Bedeck Bedazzle was really cute on their part, but I just feel like they would have been so much further ahead if they would have Circuitous routed there. We couldn't... I don't think we had anything relevant in our graveyard to flash back with Chandra. And just turning on their Field of Ruin right then and there, I feel like that would have been a nice... would have been a bigger upside. Of course, they didn't know we had the Bolas, or maybe we top-decked it. I think we had it in hand, but they didn't know that that was coming down, so... I suppose I can see the case for that. It just seems like Circuitous route is so good. Fixing your mana... Getting your field online, making you a couple zombies. Opponent has chosen to go first. Cannot blame them. I wish that one of these knights was a different threat, but other than that, this is a fantastic hand. Firebrand. God, it feels so bad to be on the draw against this deck. So do we even shock in for Disfigure here? I think the answer is yes, because we're going to want to play on Curve here, and we're also going to... Well, first see what they do here. But we want them to Like, the worst thing for us here is they get in with Firebrand, and they do some spectacle nonsense. So they misappointed. We took 2 damage to stop a damage there and then turn off whatever spectacle stuff they could have and get their guy off the board. Ooh, come on, Legion's End. Let's take a peek. Oh good, they don't have another they don't have another spell. I think Bedevil is too expensive for us to want here. We would rather get down a couple of knights and then hopefully get a land, play a Chandra, flashback, disfigure. I don't like spending 3 mana to kill a deck that has mostly 1 mana threats. Especially when we're under so much pressure to put out as many spells as possible because they just go so fast. I could play the Regisar here, but I think I prefer not taking any damage. Play a knight. Then play another knight. I could double block if I were confident they didn't have any burn spells, but, oh, they're just gonna run it out right now. I was gonna say that that is enough power to kill one of these guys, but, you know, knowing they have burn spells in hand, that's a pretty weak line. Okay, I'll block this one. They really should not have played that Vieshino Pyromancer there, because now this block is free for me. And if they would have had mana up, they could be representing, here we go, either Goblin Chain Whirler, or... Yeah, I think I actually attack first, see if they block, because I want to trade these guys out. Well, actually, no, because, yeah, I want to have this guy back to block there. So anyway, they are representing, like, that block was free, whereas otherwise they could have shocked my face, pumped their guy up to a 2/2, this guy would have died for just basically blocking a point of damage, or they could have played Goblin Chain Whirler, so... And that felt like a very, very weak line to me. I mean, I'm still at 10, so couldn't have been that bad, but alright, so now we get to do... Make sure we stay on black. Yep, for the Disfigure. Seeing that Surveil pay off really hard, bidding that expensive spell. Disfigure you. I guess all of our lands produce black, so there's no way it could have been taken off of black there. But okay, we're at 10. They're at 20. This feels fine. This feels fine, you know? How easy can it be to deal 10 damage when you're the burn deck? You know, that takes like, what, 5 or 6 cards? There's no way they're getting there. Completely lying. It could be like frenzied off the top, and then just kill us the next turn easily. Looks like they were thinking about killing our Chandra there, and I feel like if they were going to do that, they really should have done it then. Because I'm not gonna... Actually, do I just... I don't think I minus Chandra here, do I? I think I plus her, or effectively plus her. Player Legion Warboss. Hopefully draw a land next turn so I can land Legions and Regisar. Yeah, now it looks like they're gonna... Oh yeah, that was... Oh, this does work, because that's, yeah. Actually, that was pretty cool. I hadn't thought about, because usually that doesn't work, because when an ability says, like, +1 loyalty, that is a cost, and you can't respond to that cost being paid. So, but in this case, it's a 0 ability that the effect is to put a loyalty on all your red planeswalkers. So you can actually interrupt that from happening if you put an ability on the stack on top of it. So that was actually a cool line that I've never even considered before. So we really like Legion's End. Going up to 3 in the main deck there proved to be really good. Contempt is really expensive. The deck is a little clunky. Start taking this out. Try pulling the Contempt. I mean, we get life gain off of Contempt is the thing, but this does nothing. Elder Spell is pretty narrow. Kills a Chandra, but so does Bedevil. So Legion Warboss and Thief of Sanity are both very, very weak on the defense. I do like the Duresses just to break up their hand. I don't like too many discard spells, though, because they can empty their hand so quickly. Alright, so how many cards are we at now? 60. Rekindling Phoenix. So these are expensive cards, but they can slam the door shut really, really easily versus Burn. And if you can keep the board under control, Legion Warboss is pretty good. Nicol Bolas can be really good here because they have to keep exiling their permanents, and you're usually keeping them on very few permanents to begin with. But I'm afraid that that would just come down too late. So Registar is a good wall, but can be blown up pretty easily. But I think that's fine. Registar is pretty good at stabilizing us. Oh yeah, Noxious Grasp comes out, so let's put in that last Legion Warboss. Got 2 of those. I think this looks good. Might actually be right to keep the Contempts in there just because their Chandras are so powerful. But if this was for the Cavalcade deck, I would probably do that just because a Chandra can win the game on her own so easily for them. But yeah, it's even with the life gain, it's a very clunky card to cast against this deck when most of their threats cost 1 to 2 mana. Ooh. I think this is okay. I mean, it's slow, but if we ever get a shock land, and we have pretty much everything that we want in this hand, we have all of our colors, we have discard, we have removal. Okay, there we go. So unfortunately, since it's not a black land, we can't shock it into Duress, but shocking in a land to Duress against Burn isn't always that sweet anyways. So the things that I want to Duress are all 4-drops, so I believe that I will hold up for cast down here. Actually, I'm going to cast it right now. Because having that around, if they untap with it, and I cast down their Pyromancer, they can cast a 1-mana Wizard's Retort in response, which I super, super do not want to happen. Oh, I just noticed that Chris texted me, but I didn't notice because I was looking at the wrong window. Okay, well, we have no removal for that, so that feels bad. But oh, pull out their Light Up the Stage, and they have nothing but mountains left. That's really good for us. I'm actually a little surprised they kept that hand, but I bet that these have been their top decks. These mountains have been their top decks, so... Ooh, Direfleet Daredevil. That's pretty cool. So now they get to Duress us back. They only have Chandra, and our Chandra isn't that strong right now. She only has cast down to flash back. But they also know what to play around now, so that's nice. We know, of course, that they only have mountains, so Nicol Bolas' discard isn't going to be that great. I think I'll actually Rekindling Phoenix if they end up double spelling next turn. The Phoenix is a better card to trade with their Runaway Steam King because it'll just come back. And I don't think that making them discard one of these mountains right now is going to be super relevant, although they do know to play around the Nicol Bolas now. So that's a thing. Lava Runner makes that a 3/3. But they don't have the haste yet. Okay, this is a pretty good position for us now. I mean, again, making him discard that mountain isn't going to do anything, but... The question is going to be, do we go in and just start clocking them? I think we kind of have to. And even though they know about this Sulphur Falls, not the Blood Crypt, I'm going to play this one first because we might want to... That's a dead card. I think I was going with everyone here. Try to kill him next turn. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 11. This represents 11 damage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That takes us to 15. I think this is worth it. I think this is our best out, because if they hit an Experimental Frenzy or something, it's going to be really bad for us. This doesn't often happen where we end up being the beatdown versus red deck, but I think that that's actually what's happened here. And we have 2 cards in hand that we know aren't doing anything, but they don't know that. So they have to play... They probably have to play a little bit scared here. If they find Burn, they can Burn Bolas, Ember Hauler Bolas, get rid of him. They're still on 2 turns. Ember Hauler can't kill Rekindling Phoenix, but if they have Lightning Bolt, they can bolt it and then Ember Hauler the egg. So I'm guessing they have some kind of Spectacle in hand here. Takes to 5. Okay, that's it. It feels really scary to turn your 2 guys sideways versus a board of 4 attackers in the red deck, but sometimes it is what you gotta do. And sometimes it even ends up being the right play. Not always, though. But yeah, I think that the math was on our side there. It would have been really hard for them to put together a line where they could have punished us for that, because it would have had to be basically Experimental Frenzy, or not Experimental Frenzy, light up the stage into a couple of burn spells, 5 points of damage, basically, that they could get for 4 mana. Which wouldn't be impossible, but it would have been unlikely. Opponent goes first. I guess that's fine. Another pretty good hand. Give him the old hello. Ooh, I really like finding Legion's End there. This could be burn, in which case I wouldn't really like shocking Infernite of the Ebon Legion. But because we have 2 2-drop removal spells, I don't want to just... It looks like we're getting shocked here. I don't want to just hold that. Especially because we don't actually know what they're on. Oh, okay, well, so much for the burn thing. Oh, good. Well, now we get to know exactly what they're on. I'm going to swing first. See if I can get them to commit anything. If they're killing this guy, they're going to kill it in response to the Thought Erasure anyways, so... This gets negated. Basic mountain into basic island makes me think. Ooh! Nice. Feels good to be on the play, doesn't it? For my opponent, I mean. Feels terrible here, being on the draw. Ooh, they take the Bedeck Bedazzle. I was expecting the Regisar to get dropped. Yep, okay, it's the same deck we fought before. Well, Shock is really good against... So, Shock plus Ionize kills our entire side. Legion's End is effectively dead. Ral can combo kill us with an Expansion Explosion, but they already cast one of those. So they'd have to rebuy it somehow. Ugh. Yuck. I think I like taking the Shock and then just playing around. Ooh. I like that a lot, too. So this should force their hand on the Ionize. Although, is it better for me just to pump Knight? Get that out of shock range, because it'll be a 2-3 permanently. I think I actually go for the Thought Erasure here. Get out the Ionize. Take the 2. Whenever this is the same, I think this is the same person actually. Bromat Courier, isn't this the same person that we played against this deck with before? Oh, they drew a negate there. I didn't even notice that that wasn't the removal spell that they used. All right, so I guess we're playing this. Actually, I'll play the Dragon Skull Summit just to keep them off a little information, make them play a little scared. I really don't like running into the Ionize here, when I could be spending that mana to deal damage to them. and then making them feel like they have to hold up this Ionite. I mean, maybe they won't feel that way. Maybe they'll just run something out. Ooh, well, if they don't have a blue source here, then they are off of it altogether, and we can just jam this guy out here. It's pretty hard to Expansion Explosion a Rotting Regisar to death. But they kept on top, so good chance. Yep, okay, there's the Sulphur Falls. It could be they already had that in hand, and they were just slow rolling it. But we will not know. Unless they're in the comments and come and tell us. Legion's in the sorcery, so I'll just put this out tapped. Could have actually been right to have kept that in hand as discard fodder, but Legion's End is already discard fodder, and Bedevil we probably want for Ral, so I can currently only Explosion for 1 here, so they're... Okay, here comes Ral. They don't know about our Bedevil. Okay, that could have actually been really bad for us if they'd been able to minus and then shock. They could have just killed a Knight of the Ebon Legion, which we would not have been happy with. 3. Okay, so we can hit them for 6, or we can hit them for 3 and kill their Ral. Ral, I don't want to be alive because he can just combo us to death, as we saw last time we played against this deck. Actually, I think I go in first because I can't pay through... Like, I don't think that this changes any of my maths here, because I can't kill the Ral if I try to Bedevil, and then they're able to stop it from happening, because then I wouldn't have enough to pump Knight. Okay, looks like we faded it for now. Opponent is dead on board if they can't deal with Knight, or find a chump blocker or something. Although I think we saw this deck had on summons last time. Well, this will give us a good idea of what they have in store for us. I mean, they're going to Ionize it probably, but then that means they don't have an Ionize for the Rotting Regisar if they end up getting this guy, dealing with this guy, so... It seems like we have them on the back foot here. Despite that incredibly rude expansion on our Thought Erasure, which made me feel really bad, I'll have you know, opponent. I think they're thinking about if they want to... Okay. Yep, okay. I think this is their only... Okay, yep. So they really wanted to be able to kill our Knight there with the shock and then expansion on the shock in response to our pump, but top decking exactly that Thought Erasure took them off of that plan because they couldn't do that while keeping their hand uninteracted with. I'm just going to get rid of these notifications here because they're getting in my way a lot. Alright, I like Duress, I do not like Legion's End. I mean, it could be they have Electromancers or something, but I don't think so. Noxious Grasp is a dead card. Warboss I like. Thief of Sanity I like. I like the Boluses as well. I think that we saw this deck last time had Search for Azcanta, which is really hard for us to beat. I'm not positive on that, though, so I think maybe I'll leave in 1 Bedeck. If we see it this game and go to game 3, I'll bring that in for sure. I don't think we unmoored Ego their Expansion Explosion, right? Like, that seems bad. I don't think they have... I mean, it could be... Did they have Drakes? I don't think they also had Drakes, and we didn't see any creatures that game, I think. So I'm going to take out my creature removal. That seems like an easy cut. I'm going to bring in the set of Duresses. And then what do we get rid of? Regisar is very hard to kill. Warboss is very hard to 1-for-1, although they have a lot of... So this plan here is like overtax their spot removal. But their cards are a little bit janky for us to actually be using. Like they're good cards in their deck, but I don't think they're great in our deck, so I'm just going to leave those guys out. I will, we'll see how Nicol Bolas Dragon God does, and we'll just run this one out there. I feel like I kind of want Elder Spells as a hedge against Ral, because he's really important to their deck, but I think that with the 2 Vraska's Contempts and the 2 Bedevils being in there for him, and also any creatures they happen to have, they probably have... Oh, I think they have Niv Mizzet in this deck, but none of our other removal hits him anyways. Cast Down doesn't hit him, Noxious doesn't hit him, Legion's End really doesn't hit him. He is far too big of a boy for that. I will keep this. I'll keep this all day. Just don't let me go Blood Crypts. Oh wait, no, that works. Okay. Or don't let me go Swamp Sulphur Falls, try to Thought Erasure, because that doesn't work. Oh, we can just lead on the Swamp. Next turn we'll Watery Grave, and then we'll be good to go mana-wise. We'll go on first. Minor things there. What do you think the odds are they have the expansion again? Opponent! Well, there goes Rotting Regisaur. I don't think it was right for us not to do that, especially because Thought Erasure represents... Or, not Thought Erasure, but Expansion Explosion represents a lot of power in their deck, so... That seems alright. Ooh boy, double Ral. So we're not keeping them off of Ral for quite some time. They have a counterspell they can cast next turn and an Expansion Explosion with no targets. I think I'm getting rid of this Ionize because I would love to get out a second Knight of the Ebon Legion. I would also love a Bolus, which we have the mana for, so that's awesome. Opponent got rid of an island there on the Thought Erasure they copied. So that's worth noting. This turn I would rather pump than play a second Knight. They'd have to have top decked a Shock here, or I guess a Lightning Strike or something, to kill him, and then now he's out of Shock range, so that seems pretty good. Are they thinking about Expansion Explosioning this Opt? No, they are not. Or maybe they were, but they chose not to. Okay, Opt goes to the top. So for sweepers in these colors, we pretty much, as far as I know, just have Flame Sweep, which this guy's out of range of. And actually, they can't play it now anyways, because they're on 2 mana. So I'm not too worried about playing around sweepers right here. And yeah, they can't play it now, and then this is going to grow this knight to a 2/3, so they both be out of range of that anyways. Alright, so we've got a 3/4 and a 2/3. Opponent's at 10. Missing land drops. That doesn't look too good for them. I mean, they could come back into this at any moment, because Magic is that kind of game. They don't have Realm mana this turn, though. And they've scryed a lot to the top. So they're finding, or maybe it was just the one. Yeah, so they're finding things that they like. Alright, this is going to tap them all the way down, so we can just slam Nicol Bolas and make them start exiling their hand and drawing extra cards. And being generally too big for them to deal with. I'm getting kind of excited just talking about this. Oh. I think they thought they were dead there, because I shocked that in. I think they thought that I was going to double pump, which I couldn't do. I guess that only would have dealt 8 damage anyways, so yeah. Man, I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to throw Nicol Bolas down there, but so it goes. Alright, well this has been a shorter stream, but I think I'm going to wrap it there. We had some good matches there. I think we ran pretty hot, and I always feel a little nervous about going any further and pushing my luck when we're running hot. But it's been about an hour, so that's my short stream duration, so we can wrap it up there and talk about the deck a bit. So what did we see there? We saw Knight be a huge beating. We saw Triple Legion's End be really good in multiple matchups, although really bad in that last one. But, you know, that's what Rotting Regisaur is for. You draw dead cards, you just go, that's alright, I've got a 7/6 that will eat that for me, and I feel good about it. So, it's actually not as bad as you think, and I've been learning that with both of these cards. Like, you know, sometimes you just, it's fine to just discard them to your Regisaur, and that's kind of your way of mitigating the variance of having niche cards in your deck. I don't think we got any... No, we played a Noxious Grasp there, I think. I was going to say I don't think we got that off, but I believe we hit one of their Ramp Dex creatures with one. Could be wrong about that. But Deck Bedazzle we saw get used against us, and that was pretty cool. The Rekindling Phoenix, we didn't actually get to see it come into play there, but the recursion part of it come into play. But we did get to see, I think, how daunting that was for the red deck when we had, you know, Phoenix and Bolas next to each other, one, being able to get over their creatures, which makes up for a major disadvantage of these two especially, Knight of the Ebon Legion less so because of the death touch and the pump effect, but having that flying that flying army that could just, all right, you have 2 turns burn deck. What do you have? While also saying, they can slow this down because they can burn it, and then it dies, and then it comes back into play at the beginning of our next upkeep, so then it has summoning sickness. But just slowing it down for a burn spell is not often great. I actually had a burn opponent triple up removal spells on Nicol Bolas. It was like Firebrand, Chain Whirler, or Firebrand, Ember Hauler, kill your Nicol Bolas, and they still stomped me. It felt terrible. And then he also made him discard a card too, so 4 for 1 themselves, and still won. But so yeah, we saw, despite these cards being higher on the curve, it didn't really hurt us in our aggro matchups, our burn matchups. So something to keep an eye on. The Vraska's Contempt felt slow, but still, I mean, a lot of times I think we just ended up discarding to Regisar there at some point. But also, I didn't feel like they were too slow to be good in our deck. Oh, there went the unified chat, so I guess it's time to wrap it up, especially now. Yeah, so I think those were the only real big changes we made to this list, just a little more robust removal. And Todd Stevens was saying that he actually likes the 4 Rotting Regisars, but I actually have 4 in a couple of the other Blue-Black X beatdown decks, including, I think, in the Salvation Army deck. And I just find that I have too many times where I have something like 3 Regisars in my hand or 2 Regisars and other spells that I don't want to discard, but I need to get a creature out at the same time, and that always just, I just have not liked that as much as I wish I liked it. So yeah, leaving it on the 3 for now, and maybe we will up that later. Maybe that's one of the things that we bring in if we don't get good replacements for these guys, is just some extra huge dudes. And of course, we saw the 3 Legions on really pay off against that Llanowar Elves. Just elf into elf into elf, Legions and Scoop concede match was a beating. The rest, I feel like that looked pretty good. The 4th one of these, good as always. Elder Spell, didn't see it to come into play, but we've seen games at this deck where opponent just has like little Teferi, big Teferi, Narset, and like a Kaya thrown in there, something like that. And I think we just need a couple of Elder Spells in there for against those decks, because it's so hard to come back from that position when you're basically playing 1 creature a turn. Like no card advantage, or minimal card advantage, no card draw. No card draw, basically 1 threat per turn. Your guys are making your discard cards, and they can just keep bouncing it back to your hand. So this feels like a completely necessary addition. That was one of the biggest takeaways from the Todd Stevens stream, was people saying, you probably need a couple of Elder Spells in that sideboard. I've experimented more with Thief of Sanity in the main deck of this deck, but as we saw in the previous matches, there's just a lot of times where you kind of feel like this card doesn't really do it. Like if it were letting me look at the top 3 cards of my library and cast one, that would be awesome, because the cards in our deck are really good in our deck. That's why they're there. But against Burn it can be good, even though it's fragile, because cards that are in Burn are also really good against Burn, because it's cheap spells that can kill things. But in that matchup, you generally need to stabilize the board with your creatures, and that's one of the biggest problems with Thief, is that even Legion Moorboss often leaves behind a 1/1 that you can block with, or like wall a Adanto token or something like that. Or not wall it, but at least trade with it. And then Regisar, obviously, Rekindling Phoenix, Nicol Bolas, very difficult to deal with for a lot of those decks, and virtually very few decks can deal with them at parity with creatures, and a lot of them can't even do it with spells. And then so anyway, that's one of the weaknesses of some of these cards, that it's just hard to stabilize with those creatures. So that's why Thief of Sanity is in the sideboard here. I think the one other change that we've made since last time is that this used to be Spawn of Mayhem, and we just found that while we were often able to cast it on the cheap with the spectacle cost, the fact that we go up against a lot of aggressive decks just means that it's pretty rough having it in there, although the fact that it can grow itself while also clocking the opponent with its ping makes it definitely worth considering. I just feel like when there's this much red deck wins running around, like we fought 2 red decks there, I think, out of like 5 matches or something, that I just don't want to have my top end kill me. It feels better to have this one here for now. Maybe post-rotation we'll look at that guy again. And then other versions of this deck, we run that guy. I believe we have it in Salvation Army, because it's mostly black, and because of our less painful mana base, we're a little less likely to be draining our own life. So anyway, that'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a great pleasure doing this with you guys. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, hit the subscribe button or the bell for notifications. Let us know what we can improve. If you didn't like it, give us a thumbs down. You know, we like the engagement. We love seeing what we can do better because we are here to create content for you guys. So yeah, just let us know what you think. Tune in for more video game and Magic the Gathering content, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.